Forgot. I'm getting it. Uno momento, por favor. Here it comes. Hey, how are you all doing today? Great to have you here. I'm a little bewangled, as I always am at this time of day. Just got off of Penny Boys, just got done trading, got out of a trade a little early. It's still climbing. That's okay. I'm happy to see you guys, so to speak. This here, first time, I'm John Zidar. They call me the Stock Wizard. This is On Top and Hot, where we like to talk about hot penny stocks. Normally, I bring the stocks to you. Today, you bring the stocks to me, but you're not sharing them with me. You're sharing them with everybody. You want people to know about a hot stock that you're in or you're going to get in? Share it. Put it in the comments up here so others are going to read it. Not just during the show now, but later. When anybody watches this show, the comments come up with it, so they're going to see it then too. So don't just put in a ticker. Put in a reason why it's hot. So I appreciate the tickers I was given here early. I've got the due diligence done on them, but I didn't get a whole lot of them. So we should have time to do some more tickers if I don't gab too much. I shouldn't have that problem. Yeah, right. Oh, let's see here. MBOT, I seen somebody drop that in here. I think we looked at MBOT last week. We looked at NCI last week too, and we got this rule where we don't look at stocks back to back, week after week. MBOT, you're right, is doing real good right now. They're getting a lot of attention for their medical device. This little small gadget that you guide a wire through, and then you control with what looks like a arcade game controller. And it's a wire that goes into your arteries, and they can do all sorts of things in your neck and down in your groin and your heart and stuff like that. And as I said, they've been getting a lot of attention. Hospitals have been starting to use it. Doctors are liking it, and that's all it takes. It's real cheap. It's real lightweight. It's quick and easy to make, so they should do well with it. But we're not going to look at it. Just saying. Yeah, here's one coming in. Here's another one coming in. Great. We'll probably have time to get to these. There's one sneaking it in. Sorry, Kashir, I couldn't do NCI. We looked at that last week. That was the one-stop shop in China, Hong Kong for apparel. I remember. All right, we're going to... What was that? Something just sold. Don't know what that was. I'm not trading. I hope I made money on it. Egads. All right, let me get this down. We're going to bring this up, and we shouldn't have to come back here again. I'm going to use my other screen so I can not worry about hitting the button and losing you guys. I hate losing you. You don't want to stare at my head. All right, so let's jump into the stocks you gave me. First one comes from Underdog. Believe that? Normally it's Velmore, but she was being very polite waiting for Mark today. But Mark is trapped at work. He's on the road, so he didn't get it in there. And here comes Underdog swooping in. Grabbed it up quick. We're looking at XXII. This is Second Century Group. They produce safer cigarettes with less nicotine, organic cigarettes, if you will. They just did a reverse stock split, a 1-in-15 in January. So now we've got ourselves a super duper low float of less than 1 million shares. Think about that. So let's get XXII up. Now, I'm familiar with this company simply because they came out during the cannabis era back in 2018, 19, somewhere in there, this company came out with their VCL cigarettes. Now, I've been having a problem here with the OTC markets bringing up all the information I need, like the news and the filings, right? So thank God we've got Stock Titan to back me up. So we may have to bounce back and forth between the sites. So XX2, 22nd Century Group, is in the United States. They're in North Carolina, of course, tobacco. They finished the day, was it a penny stock before? We're supposed to be looking at stocks under $5. I thought this was. Well, c'est la vie. Here we are. It's leaving Penniesville right now. It's $1.09 beyond $5. She's up almost 8% today, jumping 45 cents. Nope, she was not a penny stock when I looked at it. Pulled the wool over my eyes on that one. So this is a hot penny stock on the NASDAQ, which is going to give you benefits over penny stocks on the OTC markets. First off, there's no transaction fees when you trade major exchange stocks. Unlike the OTC, where you pay for every single transaction. Have fun scaling in and scaling out, buying multiple times or selling multiple times. You also get to trade these pre-market, aftermarket. You never get to do that with OTC. And some of the biggest runners you're going to see happen pre-market, aftermarket, because the umpires are all gone. When the stock gets too hot during the day, they'll just calm it down by halting it. There's no halt to aftermarket or pre-market. So when it starts to run, it just runs until it runs out of gas. And there's a lot more money, a lot more volume, which is great for us, and a lot more rules, which is good for us too. But the rules are for the companies. Keeps them honest, keeps our investments safe. That's the problem with the OTC. You've got a lot of brokers down there, over 200 of them, all doing their own thing. There's no one organization watching them all. So a lot of stuff happens, and it normally happens to us. Up on the NASDAQ, they're watching every single company in the NASDAQ. So we know we're safe up there. So 22nd century, a picture's worth 1,000 words. As I said, they're about 95% less nicotine, and they're organic cigarettes. Now, they've got lots of different brands here, but what really caught my attention was they got flavors. We got vanilla, grape, cherry. What? Are these being sold in America? I mean, you can't get flavored vapes because they say it's too dangerous. My butt. Flavors aren't dangerous. The tobacco companies just couldn't keep up. So they get flavored tobacco, but we don't get flavored vapes. Yeah, I know. You can get the ones you fill up yourself in any flavor you want. But trying to get the ones that are disposable, that are legal, you can buy a lot of illegal vapes in this country right now because the government is not doing their job right now. All right, let's get the heck out of here. So that's what the company does. We're going to start on one side of the page and work over so that I don't skip anything. We're going to start with the relative volume for the company. Over the last 30 days, they've been doing about 23,000 shares a day on the major exchange. That's embarrassing. You should be doing at least 1 million shares, at least. Well, today they didn't do a whole lot better, about 24,000. Share structure for the company. Well, look at this, folks. They just had that 1 in 15 reverse stock split. We have outstanding share count of about 500,000. Well, I'm presuming the insiders own something. Can't be a whole heck of a lot, but whatever it is, we got to subtract that from the outstanding share count, and that's going to be our float. Doesn't matter what it is. We've got ourselves a super duper low float right now. Now, the major exchange do have rules, minimum criteria for everything from how many shareholders you have, stockholder equity, market cap, and they have one for how many shares you have in the float. I do believe it's 1.5 million, but I've heard 500,000. I'm not quite sure. In either case, they are right on the edge there. So the chances are they're going to have to do a public offering just to get that into the safe zone, but they need to do a public offering anyways. But at this point right now, we have a super duper low float of 500,000 shares. But if they're only doing 25,000 shares a day, we're not doing much, not yet. Market cap for the company, we're at about 3 million. Financials. Are we going to get anything here? Hey, we do. All right. We've got to put 3 zeros behind any of the numbers on these charts. 4 years ago, we were at about $31 million for organic, safer cigarettes. You believe that? 2022, we were at 40 million. 2023 dropped down to 32, and now we're down to 24. But notice the big difference here. It's in the profit margin. They were making profit for the first 2 years, and now they're losing money. Over $10 million over the last 2 years. Quarterlies. They're doing between $4 and $6 million every quarter, and over the last year, they haven't made any profit. Every single quarter, they're losing between $500,000 and $1.2 million. Balance sheet. In the bank, remembering those 3 zeros, we've got $4.8 million cash and cash equivalents. Total assets, 32 million. Total liabilities, we're down here at 11.2. So we are holding stockholder equity, even though they're not making a profit for themselves. We're not holding the bag. We've got $18.3 million here. Now, just at this time and moment, if you take all those shares, about 500,000, and divide it into the equity of 18 million, that would make the stock right now worth 36 bucks. That's what it would be worth when you divide the shares into the money, but that's only one way to do it. And they're going to change that as soon as they do a public offering. All right, let's get some catalysts now. Why is this thing moving? Hey, our news came up. All right, this came out January 15th. This is over a month old. Let's jump into it since this is a year in review. They'll give us a lot of details here. 22nd Century, the only tobacco products company that has for 27 years led and continues to lead the fight against the harms of smoking, driven by nicotine addiction. See, it seems to me if you take out the nicotine, who would want to smoke a nasty old cigarette in the first place? I mean, even if it's organic, you still got tar and ash. It's nasty stuff that gets inside your lungs. So I don't know what sort of market they should have. Let's see what we've got here for information. The core of our strategy is the proprietary VLN reduced nicotine cigarette platform, the market-leading first and only combustible cigarette authorized by the US FDA. The FDA has approved their cigarettes as modified risk tobacco products. VLN contains approximately 95% nicotine than conventional cigarettes without altering the taste or the smoking ritual. And they don't add any chemicals. They don't do any of that stuff. They're organic cigarettes. So that's what you're getting with them. Let's see what we've got here. Health. Let's see. The company is now in over 2,000 retail locations in over 20 states. And they have significantly strengthened their balance sheet. Not quite sure how they did that, but they say they've done that. A deeper dive will give us some more information. Any other news here we need to consider? See what I mean? Look at that. 1 minute the news is there. The next minute it isn't. That ain't right. That just ain't right. I'm starting to not like otcmarkets.com website. Let's see if there was any other news here we need to take a look at. Yep, see, here's our share count again, verified. So we are at 500,000. Yes, I was over here earlier. I'm glad we came over here. So we've got another piece of news. 22nd Century files VLN MRTP renewal, the only combustible tobacco product authorized by the FDA. Was there any other news there? No, but we had a bunch of filings. And this is something I really like about Stock Titan. Over at the OTC, all I get is 8K. I've got to dive in there and read. I got to find some information to see if it's relevant to what I care about. Over here at Stock Titan, they give me a little blurb, a little bit of information about what that filing is about, so I don't have to waste my time diving in. Well, these were all important, and they are relevant, and I'm not quite sure that I would consider them good news. If we go all the way back to the first one I've got highlighted here, these are filing 13Gs. 13Gs are filed whenever a new investor comes on board and buys enough of the company stock, they own a percentage of the company and become an insider. Well, it also works in reverse. We got a 13G here that was filed February 13th. A former major holder reports zero stake in Century Group. He's out. He left. February 13th, Jonathan Sector, exit 22nd Century, ownership stake. Now, that may be the same person. I have not dove into these. February 13th, Castaldo reports 0% ownership in the company. Uh-oh, people are jumping ship. And then our newest one here, thank God, somebody's actually coming into the company. Anson Funds discloses almost a 10% stake that they just got into the company. So it looks like 2, maybe 3 people have just abandoned the company and one new one has come on board as their revenues are falling and they're not making any profit. So that's what we got going on here. So let's go take a look now at the chart for XXII. Is it XXII or LL? I think it's II. Yeah, 21, 22. All right, let's take this back a year. Now, remember, we have had, I know of one, there's a second. One reverse stock split here, one in 15, which happened in January. And here's another one in 23, which happened in June of last year. Now, I don't see any big green bars up over top of this, which means when those reverse stock splits happen, they didn't put a big green bar up showing the price jumping 15 or 23 times and then seeing how people react to it. That's not what they do anymore. I don't know when they changed it or why they changed it, but it's completely stupid. What they do is they take the entire chart all the way back to the very first day it came on the market. Could have been 27 years ago. And they multiply it by the ratio of the split. So everything behind this split has been multiplied by 15. So you're going to have to divide any number on the price board by 15. But it gets even worse. This 23, anything behind this has to be divided by not only 23, but 15 times 23. I don't know what that comes out to, folks. Somewhere near 3,000, something like that. So every number back here has to be divided by that huge number forever. They don't plan on reverting back to the right numbers. They're going to give us this false information, this fake information forever and ever. So when a new investor comes on board a year from now and doesn't know anything about this, and they look at the chart and they say, look at the high on this company. It was $1,166. No, it wasn't. You've got to start dividing by 15 and then divide by 23. That's going to give you your number, and it's going to be under $1. So I'm not quite sure what it was, but whatever it was, she has been falling from $1,100 down to $5.18, right? So it's a crazy chart. Come on down to our 6-month, 4-hour view. All right, we're getting a little bit of direction now, downhill. Still, we've got a ridiculous high of $272, falling hard down to $27, dribbling down to this low. Now, is there anything going on right now? Well, over the last 2 weeks, she has dropped hard from, well, just before the split. Let's take it from the split. We can count on these numbers. The real price after the split was $11, and it has fallen down to a real price of $5.15. Off of that low, she jumped immediately. There was no going sideways for a day or two. She started climbing. Not fast, but she started climbing. And she's been climbing steadily from 515 up to 690. Now that tells me that the stock has value. That's a 52-week low bubble. There are shoppers out there that look for those 52-week low bubbles. As soon as they find one, they go into the fundamentals, see if the company has any value. If it does, and it's undervalued right now, they'll get in. And all of them together will not just cause the stock to bump and jump up, it will start to climb. And that's what we've had here. So that's a good sign. We've gotten up top of our 50-day MA, sitting there supremely in between the 200 MA at the top, the 200 haul at the bottom. I know most of you don't use this. Those two 200s are equal in strength, equal in authority. All the price has to do is get near one of those and something's going to happen. The difference is the red one is a meanie. This one don't like the price at all. It hinders it. The 200 haul is a friend of the price. Whenever the price is over top of the 200, when the 200 haul turns up, it will give a boost, a turbo to the price. And if the price is sitting on top of a strong MA like the 50, it will launch. And it will normally have enough power to actually run to and through the 200. Now, that's a huge run here. We're going from $6.20 up to $10.50. But it is possible. It can happen, especially when you got a chart like this where her average price now is up there at $12 right here. Taking a look at our 1 hour, 20-day view. All right, the high bubble cannot be trusted. It's got to be divided, believe it or not, by 15, which wouldn't make sense now, right? It's at $13, which means it was under $1 just a couple of days before the reverse stock split. Here at $11, down to $5.15. We are now coming up in our 200 squeeze. Both 200s are coming together, climbing and pushing down. Price is stuck in the middle. It's about ready to get pinched. It's having a heart attack right now. It wants out of there. Two 200s is like a walnut cracker. Crunch. Does not want to be there. It's going to do whatever it can to get out. And normally, 8 out of 10 times it will jump to and through the 200, which is what it's doing right now. It was underneath our 50. It got on top of the 50 here, but fell back down to the 200. Once on top of the 50 securely, we didn't have a full bar here. She was on it, but not over it. This is getting over it, but not yet. It's just about there. This is probably going to run to and through the 200. That is just now. The 200 is just now going flat. That's when you have your breakouts. This is timed out beautifully right now. All of our oscillators are getting strong. Everything is climbing. Volume was strong at the very end of the day and even after market. Look at that jump after market. Coming down to our 5-day, 5-minute. So we've got a low 5 days ago of $5.40. Went directly to that high, right? That was our 52-week low up to our high of $6.86. Down to the 200. Now she is trying to hang on to this. Under it, over it, she's hanging around it. She does not want to fall, but she's got to wait for these MAs to turn around. She just can't go busting through them. These are waterfalls with a lot of pressure. She can't get through them until they level off. When they start to level off and go flat, she'll get excited and try to move. We've got a lot of excitement here. She's leveled off on her 50. We've got another 200 squeeze, rising 200 haul, rising 200 MA. That's even better. Price on top of the 50. She's gone. Boom. To and through the 200. After hours, she jumped again, hitting a high here of $6.54. Everything is looking great. All of our MAs are pushing up and climbing. Volume is in the picture. It's not real strong like it was back here, but it's in the picture. All of our oscillators are strong. Every single one of them is pushing up, and our RSI is darn near 80 down here at our 5-minute chart. That's where I like to see a hot RSI. And don't let anybody tell you if you have an RSI in the red, it's a bad time to buy. There's a lot of people who think that, but that's for investors. If you're getting into a stock for a long hold, you don't want to buy it at a high price. You want to buy it at a low price. Well, this is a high price region. We want to get into a stock when it's hot and moving. This is hot and moving and the price is rising. So this is great. Yes, it is going to come down sooner or later, but it could be up here all day. And you would have been afraid in the morning to get into it because you thought it was coming down immediately. Don't. Trust me, folks, whenever you see an RSI go into the red, that's what we like. That's fire. That's the heat we're looking for. All right, let's come on back now. How we doing? Yeah, you guys were with me. I panicked. All right, let's get on back to another stock. Thank you, Velmore. Velmore has asked for a warrant. Velmore likes warrants, and I don't blame her. Warrants move hard and fast when the stock is moving. Who said that? What's a warrant? That's a fair question. A warrant is a coupon. It's actually a promissory note, which allows you to buy a share of stock in the future at a set, guaranteed low price. Maybe the stock is 80 cents right now. And when the stock hits $1, the warrant goes live and you're allowed to buy a share for $1.25. Well, that's not a good deal. Who wants to buy a share at $1.25 when the price is only $1? Well, it just went live. That's all. You've normally got 3 to 5 years that the warrant is good for. So 3 years down the road, this 80-cent stock that went live at $1 is now $35. And every warrant you have, you give them $1.25 with it, you get a share of that stock at, what did I say, $32? Whatever it is, well, you actually don't get the share, you get the money. That's what a warrant is. But you don't have to use it as a warrant. You can just trade it as a stock. Get in, get out, take your gains, voila. Nobody's going to bother you. You don't have to fill out any questionnaires. You don't have to have special qualifications. It's just a stock being traded on the market. And the warrants normally run hot when the stock runs hot. Normally, warrants don't do anything until the parent stock starts to do something. So we're going to be taking a look at ticker MLEC, which is not a penny stock, but its warrant is. Warrants are normally way cheaper. Normally like 1/10 of the stock price average, but it can vary by a long shot. It can vary big time. So we're looking at Moolec Science. This is a science-based food ingredient company. They too just did a stock split. I guess this is right. A 1 in 15. They needed to get the price up over $1. Must have been bloody successful because the company itself is, I think it's $17 right now. Yeah. So they just did a reverse stock split to get the price over $1. And wherever it ended up, it didn't fall back down. It kept going. They got the stock in front of people who had money. The people who have money saw the news, which I'm going to share with you. And that's all it took. She took off. What else did we have over here for information? Bump-a-da-dump. Big news. Yeah, and this warrant, which we're going to look at down here. Where's the button for it? Right there. Bing. MLECW. W on the end for warrant. Q on the end for a bankruptcy. D on the end when they are doing some changes to the ticker name, the ticker or the name of the company. So we've got a W here. This stock has gone up. The warrant has gone up 850% in the last 3 days. I do believe it's 3 days. That's because the stock got hot, and the warrant gets hot when the stock does. So this is MLECW, Moolec Science. She finished the day at 2.7 cents. She was up 53% today after a huge run for the last 3 days. She was up almost 1 penny today. Now, all of your warrants are going to be on major exchanges. Occasionally, you will see a warrant down on the OTC, but I wouldn't mess with them. A lot of times the warrants will fall with a stock off of the NASDAQ down to the OTC, and in short due time, the warrants will just disappear. And when they do, if you've got any money in them, it's gone. If a warrant goes below a penny and stays under a penny too long, it's gone. And if you have anything invested in it, it's gone too. So you've got to be watching your warrants, folks. These are great prices to get into because you get into a warrant at 2 cents, it can go to 30 cents. It can go to $1. Those are huge dynamic gains, but don't go putting the mortgage on it. Just put a couple $100, a couple hundred that you don't mind leaving sitting for a while, unless you've got a hot stock. Any hot stock that's running through the day, see if it has a warrant. It may be running hotter. The stock may be up 50%, but the warrant will be up 400% and was a heck of a lot cheaper to get into. So let's get some information here. First off, we don't have to look at the relative volume or the share structure for warrants. It just doesn't really matter. I mean, we can see what's going on with volume. Normally, whoa, I am impressed. Wow. All right, normally warrants don't get anything but tens of thousands, maybe a couple 100,000 shares moved. When you see a warrant getting millions of shares moved, it's hot. Holy hell, 5.8 million shares. This thing is hot, huge hot. Now, it's not going to tell you how many warrants there are. You could figure it out. You could dive in there. You might even be able to ask Google. It can do a lot of research for you quick. But it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's high or low. What does matter is if they've done a reverse stock split. And from what I just read, they've done one, right? It changes the value of the warrants huge, real bad. That warrant we said you could buy a share at $1.25. Well, after a reverse stock split of 1 in 15, you've now got to pay $20 for that share. Yeah, so the warrant isn't all that exciting anymore. In either case, what was the news around this company? Oh, great. Okay, that's okay. I've got my backup here. I do know what the news is, but rather than just tell you, I'm going to show you, right? Okay, so share structure. Look at that share structure, folks. The company itself right now has got less than 1 million shares, which means people are going to be excited to be trading this stock because they know it's going to be moving fast. All right, news. 6 days ago, Moolec Science achieves one of the highest commercial scale GLA concentrations from U.S. Glass 01 crushing. Now, this news did come up over there at OTC, and I had it all highlighted. But to be completely honest, I don't know exactly what ingredient they're talking about and what it is for. They are trying to isolate proteins, and they are working on making food safer and healthier. And they've got a process here which has just made this Glass 01 sapphire, the purest of anybody who's ever done this. So they're at the top of the list now. But what it exactly does, I don't know. Is it a filler? I don't know. Is it a essential vitamin of some sort? I don't know. But it's big news. Let's see if we got anything else down here. 57% year-over-year yield increase. So it's actually growing more. Whatever it is they're growing on 1,100 acres is producing more than it's ever produced. They are purifying it to stages never before seen. So everything is really good with the company in that regard. Let's see if there was anything else over here, since I probably won't be able to get it at the OTC. 20 days ago, the company was granted continued listing on the NASDAQ, subject to hearings panel conditions. That was probably because of the reverse stock split. They got the price over $1. Leave me alone. We're all good now. Wins conditional listing on the NASDAQ. Equity compliance. Oh, so they had another problem here. I'm sure that this is fixed now, I'm presuming. Equity. Yep, they had until June 29th of this year to get this fixed. Further bankruptcy of December. Oh, they had some sort of bankruptcy talked about, or maybe one of their subsidiaries at the end of last year, which caused a problem. But it looks like the problem got resolved here. I don't see anything has been carried over. These changes substantially increase stockholders' equity, and Mulick believes it has regained compliances with NASDAQ equity requirements. So there's good news there. So they got a reverse stock split, which has really changed the share structure. We've got a super duper low float now, and they've worked on their shareholder value, their stockholder equity, and they say that's way up, and they were out of compliance with that, and they got that fixed. So that's great too. So if the stock is hot, if it's running, the warrant's going to run too. Let's go see the warrant. All right, now what we'll do here is I'm going to open up two screens, and I will bring up MLEC over here, and we'll back this up. Let's go a year. Let's just see what she's been doing. So the company itself has been falling. Ooh. Oh, they had another reverse stock split back here, back in June of last year, 1 in 10. So they've had two reverse stock splits, which means you've got to do all that dividing I was telling you about with their high bubbles and all the prices. They've got a high here of $157. You know it wasn't that high. Down to a low here of $3.08. Right here is when they did their other reverse stock split. Off of that reverse stock split, she just started to climb. We were here at $4.27, and now she's up there at, well, she hit a high of $23 before she pulled back. And as you can see, she's in a 200 squeeze right now, getting ready to bust out. Let's see what it looks like on the 4 hour. She's already broke out right here. She got over the 200, bounced on it, and took off hard, going from that 567 up to $23. And back here was the split. So here is where she took off. So we haven't had any recent news except for they have now got the best ingredients on the market for whatever it is. All right, let's take a look at the warrant. Let's go back a year. So our high and low have happened here in the last month and a half. We were at a high a year ago of about 4.5 cents, just tagging the 200, but not having any initiative to break it. Fell down from that 4.5 cents down to under a penny. Scary place for a warrant. Went sideways, hanging on to that penny for a while. Fell down here to, oh my God, she hit a low of 0.001. It was short-lived. She fell and popped right back up. And then she started to dip. She got all the way down here to a half a penny, and she was down there for a while. Looks like about 2 weeks. And then we had a big rip here, going from a half a penny up to, 5 cents. So that's 1,000% run right there, folks. That happened on the day of the split. Right. So I'm not going to count that. That is affected by, I've never seen that. I've never seen a big green bar on a warrant from a split. First time I've ever seen that. That is the day they did the split, the 15th, and it jumped, came right back down. I don't understand it. And then right here, we've got a 200 squeeze. But in all honesty, I don't put a whole lot of credit, any importance on a 200 squeeze on a warrant. The only thing that's really making the warrant run is the heat on the stock. That's it. There's no other reason the warrant run. It's not because her chart is set up. She hasn't got news on her own. So she broke out of a 200 squeeze. That was great. It gave her a lot of extra power, but it was because the stock was running hot. And she ran here from 008 all the way up to almost 6 cents. Ooh, 400, 450, 500% run there. Is it that right? 08. Yeah, that's like 500% right there. Let's come on down to a lower chart so we can see what's going on here. Let's look at the hourly. So here she is flat. We hit our half a penny low right there. She came back up. This is the 15th. Nope, that's the 13th of February. We had a jump there. Nice one. This was after market. Nope, pre-market. Pre-market, she jumped from basically a penny up to 3.2 cents. That is 300% rip pre-market. She came back down, landed on the 9, continued climbing into midday, getting back up to 2.7 cents. She fell back down here to our 200-day MA, and she has been sitting on that for a few days, pushing up slowly onto our 50. She took off. Without any real catalyst, the stock is all she's got. She is bumping each time the stock jumps. And this last jump, she went from 1.5 cents up to 6 cents. That's a 400% jump there, folks, right at the bell. Matter of fact, I want to see what that looks like. All right, so at the bell, we were down here at just over a penny. She took off at the bell and just started ripping, folks, going 400%. Now, look, our 9-day MA is clear down here at 3.4. We're up here at 6 cents. That's a lot of air. Kangaroos don't fly. They bounce, right? That's what our price does. It bounces like a kangaroo. It doesn't fly. So this thing was coming down, guaranteed. Came all the way back down to the 9, did its best to hang on, and then toppled down to our dynamic duo, the 200 haul and the 50-day MA. Tried to hang on to that. It didn't hang on to it. Got on to the 20. Couldn't hang on to that. We're back down to our 200. Now, she's sitting on her 200, which is a great place to be sitting. We don't need to read any of the oscillators. It's not about the heat in the chart. No, it's not. It's all about the heat in this chart. So what does this chart say is going to happen tomorrow? Let's take a look. We're on an uptrend for the last 3 days. She's gone from that $4 to $23. Woohoo! She likes to rip early in the morning. This is pre-market. This is at the bell. This is at the bell. You should be watching this stock early in the morning. Get the coffee. Get up early. Watch this stock. Soon as volume comes in, you can see, soon as volume comes in, she takes off. So if volume comes in on this stock, chances are volume's going to come in on the warrant and she's going to start to run too. Now, the one thing I want to tell you about the warrant could make a big move, right? You got a big rip right here. She goes from a penny up to 5. Now, let's say the first jump went from a penny to 3 pennies, right? So you got 200% gain sitting on the board. Whoa, you're excited. You don't know it's going to go any further. So you're a wise person. You're going to take your gains right now and you sell. Boom, 200% gains. Yeah. You look down at the board and you got exactly what you paid for. Why? Because the bid didn't change. And that's the problem with warrants. The bid does not change immediately with every move of the price. It needs a couple moves of the price. So if you're down here at a penny and it jumps to 3 cents, look before you sell. Chances are the ask is at 3, the bid is still at a penny. And then someone bids 2 cents. That moves it up, but not all the way to 2 cents. It moves it up. So be very careful to look at the bid. Make sure you're selling for what you think you're selling for, because liquidity is the issue. Once the gap closes up and there's no gap anymore, you know you've got yourself a hot warrant. Those are the ones that are moving. Those are the ones you're going to want to watch. Now, I like to sell as it's rising. I don't hold the whole package, but I don't know how far it's going to go. And I hate to sell at 100% and she went 1,000%. I've had that happen. So sell a little at each target going up. And if you use your Fibonacci, if you get your Fibonacci in there, you'll get the advantage of being able to use the money run as a tip-off. Poke the top of your run, come down to the bottom, and right here is your money run, the very top. When she breaks this high here, when she gets over 100%, just put in a bid, 2 cents over the high. When she breaks the high, your 2-cent high is now the catalyst. And she will normally run this entire distance from 100% up to 161. In this case, we'd be going from 6 cents to 9 cents. And she will normally do that very quickly when she gets on top of this. So this is a good way to get your supports and resistances and sell at targets. But remember, a warrant can go a long ways. Save some of your shares as she's climbing. There you go, Velmore. Hopefully that was justified for you. You got to be careful. I'm losing my voice. How y'all doing over here? What's this about? Maybe next time. Let's see what you're talking about. I'm glad to see you guys over here talking about stocks. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there, Dave Xtown. Maybe next time. JPT has news. All right. In either case, you're doing fine without me. That's what I wanted to know. As long as the kids are behaved. All right, let's move on to the next stock. Oh, wow. Okay, that's all I got. I couldn't do NCI because we had done it last week. So I am now going to have to pick a stock. Let's see what we've got over here. I'm now looking at your comments. All right, NCI we couldn't do. Sorry about that. MBOT, we did look at that last week, and I did just mention what is going on there. There we go. Kashira's got QCLS. We can do that, Kashira. Not a problem, my friend. QCLS. This is QC Technologies. All right, you know what? I've got news here. So without having to worry about that going somewhere, I'm going to keep that page and we'll come this way. All right, so this is QLS, QS Technologies, based here in the United States in New York. Finished today at $3.81, up 2.5% roughly, jumping 9 cents. Another hot penny stock on the NASDAQ, getting you all those benefits we talked about earlier. So what is this company about? TNF Pharmaceuticals. That don't sound right. That doesn't sound like it's been updated. They're talking about a superior CBD drug of some sort here. But is that QC Technologies? Let's see what my MD is. TNF Pharmaceuticals. Exclusive rights to Lightspeed Computing Accelerator for use in cryptocurrency applications. That's back in September. Obviously, they're not working with CBD anymore. They're now working with something else with cryptocurrency. But what I want to check here to make sure, both could be wrong. I'm going to, good thing I saved the news. You see how the news didn't come up? All right, we got news here. I want to see what they say that they do inside the news. We'll go to their description down at the bottom. All right, about QC Technologies. They are pioneering the next generation of energy-efficient, quantum-class, high-performance computing infrastructure. Through a license agreement with LightSolver, there we go, QC holds exclusive rights to the use of innovative quantum-inspired laser-based processing units that solve compute-intensive combinatorial and physical problems at the speed of light in the crypto domain. Wow. QC believes that Light Solver's technology bridges a disruptive computing paradigm for high-speed photonic computing with cryptocurrency infrastructure development at scale, unlocking unprecedented performance and sustainability for next-generation crypto applications. How much of that went over your head? You know, a lot of this new technology is new technology. We're not going to know what it is. Most people don't. But they're obviously using some sort of laser computer, quantum computer that they call Light Solver, which works super fast. And they're going to use applications of it with cryptocurrency, which works with blockchain. But blockchain isn't working super fast. It just does its stuff. And sometimes it's pretty bloody slow, to be honest with you. So maybe this is a big deal. Let's see what else we got for news. Quantum Class Computing Developer Technologies welcomes a new advisor. So that's all we got going. And that last piece of news came out on the 20th of January. So let's take a look now at the relative volume for QCLS. Oh, God, what happened there? Egads. On the NASDAQ, she's been doing about 1.5 million shares a day as an average over the last 30 days. The bottom fell out of the bucket today. She fell down to 170,000 shares. There's got to be some bad news somewhere. Take a look at the share structure. Well, that's pretty decent. Now, this is as of November 2025. It may have changed between then and now. I don't know. As of then, we had 4.1 million. Don't know what the insiders own. Subtract that from the outstanding. That'll give us our float. Might be a lot less than the outstanding share count, but if it isn't less, it won't be any more. And 4 million is a pretty bloody good float. Market cap, we're at about 15.5 million. Company making any money? That's why we invest in these things. Well, of course you're not. All right, we're going to jump on over to Yahoo. I've got that opened up just in case. QCLS. Yeah, you're a very slow site. No about a doubt that. Financials. Uh-oh. All right, we got zilch coming in for the last 4 years. Absolutely not a penny. They don't have any profit, nothing here on the annual, and on the quarterly, it's the same exact thing. But operating expenses are pretty high, right? We're up there at, we got to add 3 zeros. You're looking at $8 million. So, you know, they're running at a loss. The last 12 months is $8 million. So they're not making any money, and obviously they're losing money. Take a look at our disclosures. No disclosures. All right, we'll come over here then. What was that ticker? QCLS. Don't you hate it when something don't work the way you want it to? Like the market. QCLS. Wonder if there's any more news. We only had 2 pieces of news over there. Yeah, that's really all we got here. Looking at our filings. Well, there we go. The company launches a $100 million shelf offering. Shelf offering is when you sell a little bit of everything you got back in the back room. They're going to sell warrants, units, maybe some rights, some standard shares. They're going to cover it all, which means we're going to get shareholder dilution. The share count is going to go up. Now, I don't see a effect here. I wonder if they show effects here. An effect is a filing that normally shows up as soon as the shares are put on the market. They'll announce it through other filings like an S3. But until they put an effect up, they're not on the market yet. So we've still got ourselves a decent float. Let me see. Director Chelsea Sierra Voss was granted RSUs, which are restricted share units, and stock options. That's not a big deal. Director Voss reports he's got 62,000 common shares held. See, I told you the insiders own something. And that's basically all we really got going on here, is just talking about the insider and how many shares he owns. So we don't have any new news. All we've got is the new board of directors coming in, and that's it. I don't see anything else here unless something came up over at Twitter. But I don't see any reason why the stock should have fallen, unless, of course, that $100 million shelf offering was all it took. I mean, that came out 6 days ago, so you wouldn't expect a big drop now, but it may have been dropping ever since then. So let's go take a look at ticker QCLS, remembering that they got a shelf offering and they announced it on the 13th of February. Get rid of you now. Bingo. All righty, QCLS. Let's roll on back a year, get our trend and our highs and lows. All right, I don't see any reverse stock splits. The price is kind of high, but not ridiculous high. Year ago, we've got a 52-week high, presuming it's legitimate, of $58. It could be, right? And she's been in a downtrend ever since, hitting this 52-week low of $2.50. She hit that in November of last year. Now, she has been trying to get on top of the 50. You can see our wicks and push throughs. She's treating it like the 200, which is a good sign because the 200 is too far away. So she's showing incentive. She wants to climb. She's pushing up. 200 is getting closer. She's starting to push harder. As long as we see pushes towards this, it's great. Now, we've got a perfect 200 squeeze setting up. The 200 haul is already rising. The 200 MA is falling. Prices in the middle below the 50. Now, our MAs here are falling. So we could presume that this price is going to drop down to the 200 haul. Now, in a lot of cases, the price will bounce off of that 200 haul and go right to the other 200. Not just to it, but through it. But what we normally look for is the price to get on top of the 50. Once it gets up there, it gets lit. That rising 200 haul puts a match to it and it takes off. And again, to and through the 200. So we're looking here at a rise of about $4.30. Whoa, to $8.20. So we're looking at just shy of 100% run here if she sets up properly. And she is in position. She's a little weak right now, but she is in position. Our oscillators show some warmth on the board, not any heat, but she's not cold by any means. Coming on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. We got a high here of $33 when she busted through that 200 really strong. She went from $15 to $33. That's over 100% run, and she came right back down super quick. Lesson to be learned here, folks. When you have a falling 200, in most cases, when a stock rips over top of the 200, it's coming back down virtually immediately. Because if it doesn't, there's like an algorithm punishment. You stay up there too long, I'll push you down even further than where you started at. So normally they just go up and they come right the frick back down. And if you're quick, when she's rising, going parabolic, you're selling. Sell some, sell some, sell some. Then all of a sudden she starts to fall, sell the rest. Boom, she's all the way down here. Whew. Glad you weren't looking for the ceiling, right? So these rips through a falling 200 are great fast plays for quick gains. And she's got a lot of those. Look at these all the way down. She's breaking through. Now our 200 just went flat right here. That's when she broke out. She went from $3.30 up to $9. A 300% run right there, folks. As soon as the 200 went flat, she took off. She fell back down to the 200, which I expect after a breakout. She normally comes back down and she'll bounce off the 200. Now, she did bounce here. It doesn't look like a big bounce, but that went from $4 up to $6. That's a 50% bounce, right? So she's come down to her 200. We had another rip here from $4 up to $6.50. So she likes to bounce with this low float. You can see that. And the dead giveaway are these green bars underneath. That's called volume. When you see these green bars show up underneath, folks, that's when she likes to rip with this low float. Now, she has been falling since, what's the date there? The 10th. And it was the 13th that they announced the shelf offering where they're going to put $100 million worth of more shares on the market. We've only got 4 million shares right now. And if the stock is going for $3, $4 a share, 100 million would be like 25 million more shares. I don't know what they're doing with warrants and all that other stuff, but share wise, that would be roughly 25 million. And if we've got 4 million, that means we're going six times, which means the price should fall 6 times. So if that's at $3, it should be 1/6 of $3, which would be 50 cents. That's where the price would fall after the shelf offering. It may be getting into position. We call that being built in. So after it happens, it can start to climb because it already fell. It's ready to climb. So right now, she's already fallen. She is working her way back up, but she's been bouncing up and down as she's falling. Looks like a bounce to me. Only thing that looks nice is our 50-day MA is starting to turn up, but everything else is still falling down. Oscillators are pretty cool. Everything is pretty much going sideways except our RSI. That's actually pushing up right now, but it's cool. It's down there at 46. 20-day, 1 hour. There's our high of 6.59 down to $3.42. Straight down to it. A fast jump off of that low bubble. 342 up to 457 over a falling 200. So we know it's coming back down. Came back down, fell to the other 200, just as strong as the top one. That's hanging on to it. Gets over here to the 200 and everything fell away. I don't know if this is a bear trap. I don't know if it's a crouch before the pounce. I don't know if it's dissatisfaction with the shelf offering coming. It's hard to tell. All I can see is we are still in a downtrend. Our 200 is falling. Price is bouncing downhill. Oscillators, there's a little bit of warmth in them because we were climbing today, but we don't have any heat. We need some heat. Now, our 200 is trying to level out, but she's been trying for a few days. She needs some more volume. We got nothing in the picture, not since way back here. Let's come on down to our 5-day, 5-minute. So we've been falling from our high of $4.15 5 days ago down to the low. Off of that low, we have been climbing slowly. We've had some jumps and bumps, but nice and steady. You can see she's going up. I'm just going to grab a channel here. That ain't my channel. That's my channel right there. So we can see she is rising. She's trying to get up over top of the channel right now. She has been hanging around the center, but everything is crossing the center now. All of our MAs are over top of the center of that channel, which should push this price over top of this channel into a new paradigm and start to climb. Our 200 was falling all this time. Today, she leveled out in the morning, and right now she is starting to climb and push up. All of our oscillators have finally warmed up and are starting to climb, except our RSI, which is just taking a healthy dump right here at the end of the day because of that one red bar right there. But I think QCLS has a chance of doing something, but it needs some bloody volume. That's key with any play. That does it for QCLS. Let's see here. Oh, Daniel Martinez, LXHL. Is that right? That sounds like a strange one. Ah, is this IXHL? I'm guessing here. JTAI. I did look at that one, not here. I looked at that one over at Penny Boys last week, I think it was. All right, we're going to jump into first come, first serve. We're just going to keep it easy here so it doesn't look like I'm playing favorites. Daniel Martinez. I'm taking it. This is LXHL. Let's see if that comes up. LXHL. No. Okay. IXHI. No. What the hell is that? No. LXHL. LXHL. Oh, isn't this horrible? I see. Get out of there. I'm not getting that one. LXHL. No, I'm sorry, pal. LXHL does not come up. IXHI. God dang it. That's the last try. All right. Daniel, you're going to have to check on that, my friend. I did type it wrong 13 times, but I think I typed it right twice, and this didn't come up. So we're going to go by that one. We are going to now take a look at JTAI. Nothing personal, Daniel. You're still my buddy. JTAI. I am familiar with this company. This is the company that just had a merger, I think. It's a private jet company. All right. So let's jump on over here to company profile, see what we got going on. You're with me. There we go. JTAI, Jet AI. I'm sure that's for artificial intelligence. Based here in Nevada. Finished today at 11.1 cents. Down. This a hot stock? We're supposed to be looking at hot stocks. Stocks people are interested in. This is down almost 15% today. Dropping almost 2 cents. Not a hot stock on the NASDAQ. So Jet AI is working towards a seamless experience for aviation operators and customers powered by natural language processing and advanced fleet logistics. So transforming aviation with AI. Jet AI is working towards a seamless experience. Yeah, you told us that. Where's all the pictures? My computer just isn't wanting to work today, is it? I'm not getting anything. But I tell you what I can do. Normally, when I look at Jet AI, I am looking at it from a Google standpoint because I'm putting up news and I'm normally looking for a picture to put up with my news. So this is a small jet company that's not like they've got these huge giant jets. Let me get Jet AI out of there. Yeah, these little jets right here. These are the kind of jets we're talking about. So they got these small jets, and I don't know how many of them they've got, but they've got a fleet of them. And I do believe they just did a deal here. Now, let's see. We're going to start with the relative volume, and we'll work over so I don't skip anything. Over the last 30 days, the company's been doing about 51 million shares up on the NASDAQ. That's respectable. Today, they did less than half of that, about 22 million. Share structure for JTAI, low. We got about 4 million outstanding. No clue what the insiders own, so I don't know what the float is. Won't be any higher than 3.9 million. That's pretty bloody low. Wow, look at that market cap. Well, when you take 4 million shares and multiply it times 11 cents, you come up with $510,000. That's how they get it. That's what we got. Financials for JTAI. Hey, we got our money. Over the last 3-4 years, we went from 21 million down to 12 million to 14 million. And it was only their first year that they were making any profits, 2 million. Since then, they've been losing money. Quarterly, they've gone down over the last year from roughly $4 million down to 1.7, and continuously, quarter after quarter, they keep losing money. Balance sheet for the company. Looking at what we've got in the bank, we got about 3.4 million. Total assets for the company is about 11 million. Total liabilities, we're at about 4. So we are holding stockholder equity in this company of about $9 million. Now let's go see what the news is. Is it going to come up for us? We don't like that. Really aggravating me. I know you can't tell, but it is. All right, so we've got a float of about 45 million, market cap of 5.9 million. So it says over here. And I've been learning that this one is more accurate than the OTC, which is a little embarrassing. Okay, 6 days ago, the company adopts limited duration stockholder rights agreement. Stockholder rights. Rights are like warrants. They are a coupon, a promissory note that gives the investors the opportunity to buy a share of the company stock at a set low price in the front door. Normally, it's like 3 months, 4 months, sometime early, right up here in the front. So if the price is up here, you get to buy them for cheaper, whatever the price is. I did not dive into that. I'm not going to dive into that. 7 days ago, the company provides capital structure and strategic update in connection with merger agreement. Well, now that's something we want to know about. I love this because they give us blurbs here. The company announced an amendment to its merger agreement with Fly Exclusive executed February 11th, so the merger's already happened, removing a closing condition that required a new $50 million preferred stock financing. So that's been removed. Let's see what else we got here. Fly exclusive consented, the limited AD. So we don't have any more information there except to learn that we did have a merger just happen here. Let's see if we can get any information about that. Well, this is something new. This was 17 days ago. Annual letter to shareholders, data center developments. That's a little different than flying an airplane. Jet AI provided its 2026 shareholder letter outlining its data center development progress. A near-term sale of its aviation unit to Fly Exclusive and a stake in AI Infrastructure Acquisition Corporation. So they're looking at another company to acquire. Key metrics. Let's see what we got here. They got a cash balance of approximately $9 million with no debt. Indirect interest in AIIA sponsor, implying a $17 million valuation. That's the other company they want to get a hold of, probably for the data center. 17.5 GP stake in Manitoba and maritime projects. Some more due diligence here, folks. 3 data center projects targeting hundreds of megawatts of capacity. This is a lot different than just flying airplanes. Existing $50 million Hexstone facility and a $35 million at the market program. So they got $50 million that they can tap into for a loan whenever they need it. And they've got $35 million worth of shares that they've already approved that they could put on the market when they want to. So there you go. We got a lot going on with this company. They've just merged with another jet company, and they are looking at and working on, if not already doing, 3 companies in the data center development. That's a lot happening. Why is it falling? I don't know why it's falling with all that news right now. Disclosures, right? We just might as well go back there because you're not going to let me get what I want. Disclosures on the right-hand side. Let's see what we've got here. Active investor builds 8.7 Jet-I stake. So we've got somebody who just bought 8.7% of the company. Sets 10% trigger in new stockholder rights plan. Again, I don't know what this trigger is all about. 10% trigger when the price goes up 10%, the rights are available. Maybe something like that. You may want to dive into that. The company tweaks their merger with Fly Exclusive. We just read about that. Reshaping their merger with Fly Exclusive. We read that as well. And is this the same one? 8.7. And it looks like they're repeating this. And that person getting in with 8.7%. So we did just have a new investor come in. We've got a merger they just completed with another jet company, and they've got 3 companies they're looking at and probably working with right now in the AI data development. Boom, boom, boom. And the stock fell. All right, let's see. Is there anything else over here I missed? I don't think so. Nah, we got it all, didn't we? We did. All right, let's go take a look at the chart. Particular JTAI. Fly me away. I need a holiday. Too many lines. Got to get rid of all them bloody things. Magic. All right, let me zoom in a little bit here. Nope, can't do it like that. There we go. All right, so over the last year, doesn't look like we've had any reverse stock splits. Prices are all regular. We've got a 52-week high a year ago of $11.70 and a 52-week low of 9.1 cents, which we hit just a couple days ago, yesterday, as a matter of fact. She has been in a downtrend all this time. She obviously was a lot higher back further. You can see where our 200's coming from. Little disappointing that she didn't do more bouncing towards the 200 when it got close. We had one tap right there and a rejection. She pulled away from it. As it got close, she ran. We're down here now at our low of 9 cents. Still looking like she is falling. All of our oscillators are weak right now. Everything is still turned down. Let's come on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. Steady downtrend from $4.76 down to that 9 cents. And currently we are in a 200 squeeze again. If she can get this price up on top of this 50, she could easily run to that 200. And we'd be going from 13 cents up to 33 cents. So that would be a vicious run right there. That'd be about 220, 250% run. We've got a rising 200 haul already. Everything is in position. All we need is some volume. We don't have any volume in the picture. I haven't had real volume for a few days here. Oscillators, everything is pretty planted. Everything's just going sideways right now. Kind of tough to tell where a stock is going to go when nothing is happening. Taking a look at our 20-day 1-hour view. We have dropped over the last 20 days from 36 cents down to that 9 cents. And is this looking any different? No. Again, she is working her way down, and now our 200 haul is actually turned down as well. Our 20-day has turned down, which is like the steering wheel. It takes a while for the price to work around the 20. So if this just started the turn, it's going to have to come down here and turn around. So chances are the price is going to come down here, probably through the 200 haul before it even has an opportunity to come back up. And that's going to probably take it down to near 10 cents, if not lower. Taking a look at our 5-day, 5-minute downhill trend, 18 cents down to 9 cents. We lost 50% in 3 days. She bounced back up, started to climb, gave us some false hope at pre-market. And from pre-market, she's just been falling. All pre-market, all day. Not hard, not fast, but she's not showing any inclinations of wanting to change direction. She is underneath all of the MAs except the 200 haul. She is sitting on top of it, which has not been helping her. She has been falling with everything right now. We did have a nice jump here. She came back down. I would have been suspicious of a breakout here, but this was at the end of the day when the volume all petered out and she didn't have a chance. I don't know if this has a chance of running tomorrow, but she's got a lot going on right now. She has got money in the bank that she can use, so they don't have to worry about any of that, so we don't have a problem. They've got data centers, 3 of them. You're going to have to do more due diligence there, folks. Up to 100 megawatts of power. That's the big deal here. Get more information there. See when they expect to launch those. See where they're located at. That could be the big ticket here. This could be a company that you could want to enter into now when it's down so low, because data centers, AI, and real world assets, RWA, this is where the stock market is churning to right now, churning and turning to. The NFTs were doing that with real world assets. They were backing their tokens with and NFTs with real world assets, real things, not just the company. And that's what they're going to be doing here as well. So between AI and real world assets, I would start narrowing down my field of stocks to be looking at for long holds. JTAI, we're done with it. Boom. Did we ever come up with a better ticker? Is that a goat or is that a bull? JPTE has news. JPTA? No, that's a different stock, isn't it? Dave Xtown. Maybe next time. What time is it? 5:13. Okay. I'm going to do one more ticker here. What do we got here? Would love to see feedback on UFG. All right. I'm going to see. I'm getting the feeling UFG may not be a penny stock because it hasn't got a lot of letters in the ticker. Hey, it is. How about we look at UFG? That better than comments, right? All right, we're going to take a look at UFG for Brooke Voucher. Is that your name? Brooke Houchin. Boy, these names, I tell you what. All right, let's go take a look at this. Let's see what we got for UFG. Unifuels Holdings Limited. Never heard of this company. First time I've ever looked at it. UFG, Unifuels Holdings, is a company based out of Singapore. So we've got ourselves an international company here. Finished today at $1.13, up 3.6%, jumping 4 cents on the major exchange. Unifuels, they are a fast-growing global provider of marine fuel solutions, helping shipping companies optimize fuel procurement across all markets and time zones. Unifuels has evolved from modest beginnings into a dynamic, forward-thinking company backed by a passionate team. Blah, blah, blah. All right, let's see if we get anything by looking at the website. Tax credit, financing, agile and flexible pricing, fuel management, dedicated fuel specialist. I was wondering if they were using any special chemicals or it was a different type of fuel. I guess they're just selling fuel and trying to do it at a good price. I mean, I don't see anything here about their fuel being different than anybody else's fuel, right? Don't see anything like that at all. So let's go on back. What was the relative volume for the company today? Oh, another big drop, going from 1.5 million as an average over the last 30 days down to 122,000 shares. God, you might as well be on the OTC doing that. Share structure for UFG. Not bad. We're under 10 million, 7.3 million outstanding. Insiders probably own something. Subtract that to get us our float. If they own zero, we've still got ourselves a low float, don't we? Ain't going to be more than 7.3 million. Market cap, we're at about 8 million right now with the price at $1.13. Financials for UFG. How you doing selling fuel? Pretty bloody good. Shipping's been doing real good. I do believe that China is the number one shipper over the seas right now. And if they can get to the Northwest Passage up there by Greenland, we could be in trouble. We want to get that. Over the last few years, UFG has been climbing in revenue strong. 2022, they did 30 million. They more than doubled that a year later to 70 million. And more than doubled that in 2024 to 155 million. But what's up with this? The profits aren't doubling. 2.4 dropped to 2.2. How? And then here, we did jump up to 3.1. I guess the price of fuel has gone way up. They're just not making as much profit as they used to. Quarterlies, it's an international company. They normally have them, but you don't get them over here. Balance sheet for the company. Cash and cash equivalents, what we got in the bank is 4.3 million. Company's assets are about 17 million. Liabilities are less, so we're going to end up with stockholder equity. We get 4.5 million. Not looking bad there. All right, let's see if we get news over here. Well, we don't get it. That doesn't mean they don't have any. Let's go see what Stock Titan tells us. All right, 32 million shares here with a market cap of 35 million. It's amazing. Depending on what site you go to, you can get all kinds of information, can't you? It's always nice to find the one you can trust. The OTC markets used to be mine. What's going on? All right, looking at the news. 7 days ago, the company renews ISCC certification following successful inaugural biofuel delivery. Cool. Company enhances end-to-end EU ETS compliance solutions for global shipping companies with EU allowance support. So they're taking care of paperwork. They're getting things taken care of so they can keep doing business in more and more of the world. Unifuels advances global operations with next phase of expansion. What is that next phase of expansion? Hopefully we got some bullets. No bullets. Well, thank you very much. All right. Key themes. Offices opening and operational initiatives following the 2025 entries into Dubai, Shanghai, and Limassol. Maintaining operational discipline and counterparty risk management. Anything else here? No. Not a lot going on there, folks. So they're selling fuel. Fuel's gone up. They're not making as much money as they used to. Let's see about disclosures. Hey, we get them over here. But, I could just get a heads up over here so I don't have to dive into them. Are you going to give them to me? There they is. All right, renews their certification. Up right there. You see that effect right there. So they do show them over here. Effect is just a super short filing. There's nothing really in it. And it's just telling you we have just put shares on the market. So what we want to know is how many shares did they put on the market? Amend foreign issuer shelf registration. Shelf registration, that means they're putting a whole lot of different things up there. Are they going to tell us here? See if I can find it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Trying to find it. I wonder if I can get it over here a lot easier. I am used to reading these. Would this be the shelf offering or this one? Shelf offering. Boy, oh boy, they're not telling me. That's the problem with the international filings. They give you a lot of information. All right, so they've got a shelf filing here, folks, but I'm not able to quickly determine how many shares are going to be sold. And for those of you who want a lot of information about the company, we just stumbled upon this. This is in their most recent filings. It is their newest presentation on the company. It's a brochure, and it's primarily made for investors. This is easy read. They just give you all the bullets about everything they think is important in the company without trying to overwhelm you. Let's see if they've got anything in here about... No, they got a lot of information here, though, don't they? But I did not see anything there about the shelf offering. And again, remember that anytime they do any type of public offering, anytime they have a new investor come in and buy a whole bunch of new shares, those are all added to the public, the outstanding share count and the float. So we are going to have shareholder dilution. And since I don't know how many it is, I don't know how dangerous it is. I don't know how much dilution it's going to be. So some more due diligence needs to be done here. We've got a whole lot of filings here. You may just want to poke your head into each one of these and just see what's going on. Companies, this is going with the news there. So I think we've pretty much covered everything here. I don't see any catalysts except that they are keeping their business going. Like I said, they're getting a lot of administrative business out of the way so that they can keep working globally. Take a look at ticker UFG over on the charts then. Over here at Thinkorswim, the free trading platform you get from Schwab, though I like to refer to it as my playground because I have fun charting. A heck of a lot more fun than I do reading press releases and filings. 1 year, 1 day. So UFG, her high a year ago was at 428. I'm going to draw a line there. I got a strong support right there. Our 52-week high was $11. We hit that on 9/11. She has fallen down to a 52-week low of 60 cents, which she hit just after New Year's. Off of that low, she's come up. She's sitting on top of the 50 right now with the 200 haul underneath, the 200 MA over top, getting ready for a 200 squeeze. Our oscillators, everything is a little planted right now, kind of going sideways. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to actually grab my Fibonacci because this is a big fall, and this is where she's going to try to recover from. And I'm not sure what made her fall here. Haven't got a clue. But I'm going to go from the very top to the very tip right there of that fall. Now, that's not going to be all of the supports and resistances, but these are the primary ones based on Fibonacci. When she starts to climb, she'll start to use these. But we're going to have to fill in the gaps with other supports and resistances, and we'll do that manually. Coming on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. Look at that rip. Holy cow. Now, this is very interesting. I just want to zoom in on that. Right here, folks, our 200 is falling. Right there, it went flat. Now it's climbing. Right where it went flat. How many times have I shown you a huge rip as soon as the 200 MA goes flat? She went from $3.13, whoa, up to $20. God dang, folks, you're talking 600% run here. It was at the end of the day, too. Again, when a stock starts going parabolic, don't get greedy. Start selling your stuff in chunks as she's going up. You may not find the top. You may run out of shares, but you're going to take gains and not be cheated. You try to look for the top. Look how fast that fell. Wham! Came down fast and hard all the way back to $3.36. Now she's on her 50-day MA. She's bouncing off of it, and she is climbing. Now things are just starting to crest over right there. So let's bring this back because that is not where we're at, are we? We are clear up over, let me get this, 4-hour. We're way over here. Now, actually, this is going to be a better one. So I'm going to use a second Fibonacci. I'm going to use it on this run here as well. This is a perfect one for where we're sitting. This goes from this low bubble all the way up to this high here. And now I am set to play. So I've got two sets of Fibonacci's. I've got my big Fibonacci, which I will use when it gets up there. They are legitimate supports and resistances, as well as the ones I just drew up here. So we had a jump from a low of that 60 cents up to a high of $1.63. So we're at 250% run there. She came down. Now our halfway point is right here, right about the Fibonacci of 0, that big Fibonacci. The 50% mark, this upper half is the green zone. If we can keep the price above the 50%, chances are she's going to want to climb. If she comes underneath the 50, chances are she'll look for the next strongest MA to bounce off before she comes back up. And if there are no MAs, she'll normally just keep falling. Well, right now we are right at the 50. We are right there. We are sitting on it. All of our MAs are right there. Everything is together. It's a decisive point. It's a beautiful place to be sitting. She could take off very strong right here. All of our MAs rode downhill. They got flat right here, and they're just starting to turn up now. Now, today. Tomorrow could be a great day for this stock, the way it's looking. Looking at our 20-day 1-hour view. There's our high 20 days ago of $1.45 down to a low of 90 cents. Bounced off of that immediately, telling me there's stockholder value in this company. Got up on top of that 50. We're in a 200 squeeze. She jumped. She went from $1 up to $1.28, down to our 200, and she's sitting there waiting. Folks, I see a lot of volatility in this stock. I don't see a whole lot of catalysts. I don't see a whole lot of reasons for her to be running. She is making strong revenues, but the profits aren't all that great. But they're expanding their business, so things are getting better, just not as better as we'd like them to be. But the stock is showing life. So I'd be putting this on my watch list. The thing here again, big green bars. Whenever you see the volume come in, that's when she is alive and taking off, folks. No volume, no play. Fair enough? I do believe that is it for me, folks. My voice barely made it. Hey, you guys still here? I don't see. Oh, there's some new comments. I didn't see any new comments. JPTE. Dave's asking. Nobody going to answer the man? ECDA. I think I looked at that one last week too. I think that was a hot stock, but I just haven't got any more energy. My voice is starting to go. My brain is starting to fizzle. I haven't had enough nicotine, enough THC, enough caffeine, and I'm not even getting enough oxygen. Honest, folks. So my brain is frying right now. It's hard to explain, but I know I'm not thinking right. So now I need to get off before I do something stupid. Thank you, folks. I appreciate you being here. I hope I shared something of interest with you. If it wasn't a stock, maybe a trading insight. You never know what you're going to learn from me because I do talk a lot. Thank you, folks. See you next week. Same place, same time, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Remember, I'm the stock wizard, and you're my friend. And the more you know, who said that? I love you, man. Yes. The more you're going to grow. See you guys.